Pecha Kucha 168, Transformers Unicron, and 1 point penciling. It's been a bit of a weird week. We had the office Christmas party this week. I didn't quite realize how much of my time it cost me until like yesterday when I was like, oh wait, what's going in the Pecha Kucha this week? It probably won't look so different from any other one, but it's a bit of a surprise to me. So Transformers Unicron. I went into a comic book store. I bought a random Transformers book because I'm a fan of Transformers. I had a feeling looking at the art and because it's about Unicron that this was going to be something interesting. I was right. I had no idea though what I was getting myself into. So Unicron, the world destroyer, is making his way to Cybertron. He's gobbling up Cybertronian associates as he goes along, and the Autobots are doing everything in their power to try and stop him, and it's not working out. This is where we start. And about 3 to 5 pages in, there's this bit where Cliffjumper, one of the G1 Transformers, they find him dead, and they're like, oh snap. And I'm like, oh wow, that's unusual. Anyone who is like from the cartoon isn't, liable to be found dead. That's like finding Robin dead, as a matter of fact. And then 3 to 5 pages later, while Unicron is gobbling up this other planet, Wheeljack, another mainstay of G1 Transformers, ends up dead as he activates a device that transports about 2/3 of the world's population off of the planet before it's literally eaten by Unicron. Unicron also has an army of Beast Wars Transformers from both the Maximals and the Predacons as his heralds and destroyers. So it's like, this is like really fucking apocalyptic. You've got named characters dead, you've got other franchises involved just to make this more heinous. And then to top it off, you've got other 80s cartoons interdispersed like Mask and G.I. Joe. They're talking in nostalgic terms about the good old days and while they're trying to save things on Earth. And it's like, I'm halfway through this book and I'm like, dude, they're going to reboot this entire Hasbro Sunbro universe. And then Unicron gets to Cybertron. Starscream actually sacrifices himself so that they can get in. So Optimus Prime can get inside Unicron. There's a touching story involving the Seekers, Thundercracker and Skywarp. It's good. It's good reading. Although some of the character development shocks me. But speaking of shocking, Optimus Prime gets into the black hole in the center of Unicron, finds the guy who created it. It's like a god bomb. It's a thing designed to destroy all life. He finds the guy who set it off, gives him a hug, and saves the universe from being destroyed. It's an abrupt summary, and then at the end you've got the writers and artists talking about reflecting on their favorite moments working at IDW rebooting the Transformers franchise. It's very obvious that this isn't a reboot. They just had to wrap things up because nobody buys comics and even less people buy Transformers comics. What a fucking read. Worth it though. So last week I did say I was going to do a bit more work on my little storyboard for Transformers, which was inspired by me reading this. And as I was inking it, I was realizing I hadn't really put that much thought into the shapes. I wasn't that bothered about getting reference accurately, but it was more like the shapes don't quite make sense to my brain because I didn't use reference. I can't really create something with which to apply color on top of. And I'm also not entirely sure if I want to just do a better pencil line or if I want to apply vector lines, because some of these things feel very unnatural. And I was reflecting on the way I build my art. I inked this other guy's pencils. I was looking more at how he penciled it, and it's like he doesn't have to have these clean lines. You just go in close enough that all your lines merge when you zoom out into what looks like a clean line. So I was messing around with using 1-point brushes, the smallest brush you can get, 1 pixel brushes. And again, it reminds me a lot of using a mechanical pencil on paper. And I was experimenting with vector lines as well. Manga Studio is very good at recording the lines you make, letting you edit them. And like on the right is a little rough sketch of Starscream that I copied off of some cool dude on DeviantArt. And then on the left is the second draft version where I'm messing around using the vector line tools and a little bit of my own pencil scribbling, but because it's so small, you can't really tell how poor the line quality is. And then I randomly later in the week found myself back in Photoshop because I really want to just be able to use shortcuts in Photoshop, but my Cintiq won't work. And just using the default round sketch brush or whatever it's called, you have so much versatility with this brush. I forgot, it was disturbing. So I went back to Manga Studio and I'm like, is there a brush that is equatable to this? And the closest I can find is it's watercolor. It's also half pencil. It lets you do broad strokes. It lets you apply value very quickly. Using spray paint is kind of similar, but not really. Manga Studio is very much a case of you go in looking for a traditional tool to use in a traditional way, whereas that Photoshop brushes are always custom made for custom use, and you build your own library for your own personal preferences, just like you learn your own way by Googling things. And so I just went back to messing around with all the Manga Studio tools and seeing how they blend colors. And I've been reading the manual, so I know a bit more, but it's still a mess. And I was just drawing Akuma because that's what I draw when I'm not really intending to draw anything. And yeah, sad clown of the week. It's not this guy specifically having a little lie down on the stairs as you do, but there was this Christmas party. It gobbled up a lot more of my week. It was actually on Friday. It wasn't bad, but it's one of those things I'm going to look back and just think, what did I get out of it? I mean, I got a £50 dinner for free, but I would have been better off staying at home just drawing terrible pictures of Batman. But that brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 168. More to come, and I'll see you next week.